Well, if I were a gobbler, that would get me gobbling. Today we're going to talk about turkey calling and the vocabulary, how much to call, when to call, how loud to call, and the keys to success and failure. I'm demonstrating on a Cass Creek electronic game call. Some states these are legal in, some states they're not, but I'm going to use it here just for demonstration purposes. One thing that's extremely important to note, no matter which types of calls you're using, is the rhythm of the yelp. That's your yelp right there. That's an I love you sound to the gobbler. But you notice that yelp, bow, 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 bow. No matter where you go, no matter what state you're in, turkeys have the same rhythm to their calling. It's bow, 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 bow. That's very important to remember. First-time turkey hunters, I know a lot of times you'll pick up a push-button call, and sometimes they just don't know. It's important to get the rhythm. Get yourself a DVD or cassette tape or Cass Creek game call. Learn the rhythm on it. The long-range calling, you're going to want to use a box call. We found through our studies at Turkey Tech University that the box call is the loudest and the best for hilly terrain, windy days, long-range calling in general. Very authentic sounding. This is our double trouble box call. You can really crank the volume on this one. It's important to remember that your turkey hunting usually comes down to them last 100 yards. And you're going to win them or you're going to lose them right there. If you're too loud or you call too much, the gobbler's just going to hang up out of gun range and he's going to gobble and strut, gobble, strut, lose interest and walk off. If you've had that happen before, you've called too loud. You win them or lose them at 100 yards. Remember that. If your friend were in a factory and you had to reach out and talk to him or her, you would shout so that person would hear you. It's the same thing when the bird's way off in the distance, but if they're your friend's only 3 feet away, you're certainly not going to shout at them. They're going to think, what's the matter with you? I can hear you. Plus you got bad breath. Same thing with the turkey. His hearing is 4 times better than yours. Remember that. So when they're off in the distance, you want to do cutting, which is a very excited sound of a hen turkey. That's telling him, come on over here for a good date. I'm going to show you a good time. And it sounds like this. Throw in some yelps, the I love you. That's going to get that old boy all fired up and he's going to gobble, he's going to double gobble. You don't want to call too much because when he's gobbling, at the same time he's trying to pinpoint you. And if he pinpoints you, the game's over. You want to let him know that you're there. When he starts closing the distance, you call less and you call softer. You want to make him believe at all times that you are way back here. Now you got to give him time to walk too. If you're calling and he's gobbling, he's not coming. Give him time to come. So get him fired up first. He's going to gobble to that. Now lay off of it for a little while. Wait 2-3 gobbles and hit him again. But give him time to come in. As he starts getting closer, you might opt for a slate call, or actually this is one of my most favorite calls. Works in the rain. Got crystal on one side, slate on the other. Very authentic sounding. The crystal side is higher frequency, and the higher frequency calls penetrate the thick woods. And 200 yards later, this still sounds like a hen turkey, whereas a raspy call is going to sound like a barking dog. Now when he does start getting a little closer, I like the slate side. To me, it's the most authentic sounding. But the purrs are outstanding. Now as he's getting closer, let's say he's at mid-range now, between 150, 200 yards or so. I start toning it down more. We found through our studies at Turkey Tech University that one of the best calls that you can make when he reaches that 100-yard mark is the purr. It's feeding, a contentment sound. And remember, you're going to win them or lose them at this point. The best thing you could do We find that this little call here is the best one with the volume control on it. You want to make him believe that you are back here, so he'll walk through you. He's not expecting to be with that hen right away. When he expects to see the hen, that's when he hangs up. We found this to be one of the best calls there is. The volume control is what makes it. You could be loud, or you could be super soft, or you could be anything in between. I know that a lot of people are very efficient at their calling. I've won 6 Michigan State turkey calling championships, but I'll tell you what, this is a valuable part of my arsenal. You can't confuse simplicity with something that belongs to a beginner or someone advanced. It is simple, but look at the advantages. Only 1 finger movement. Turkey's eyesight is 10 times better than ours. Your turkey hunting usually comes down to them last 100 yards. By making him believe you're further away than you are is a huge advantage. You're also able to throw your voice. I could throw this sound in this direction. I could point it behind me there, point it in this direction. I can make him believe I'm any direction I want him to think. Best thing you could do when he reaches 100 yards is this sound right here. Just give out a few purrs and give him time to come into gun range, and he will. Now here's a purr on the Cass Creek game call. This is a recording. It's very authentic sounding. Here's your cluck. A lot of times I'll do a cluck to raise their head. Here's some fighting purrs. A lot of times you see that when the jakes are fighting, you'll hear this sound here. And you know what? If you got a big group of birds, sometimes that can work. Now, what I do to imitate that sound there, I can't use electronic calls here in Michigan, so what I'll do is I'll use this push button call, and I'll do a hand on, hand off. Try to sound like a couple different birds fighting. Hopefully you've picked up a few tips today that are going to help you out on your next trip in the turkey woods.